Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Music in the Minor League. This week we're joined by Jenna Gohman out of Litchfield, Minnesota. Jenna started out on the merch side of things. She used to run merch for Weber's Deck, which was put on by Casey Weber. It was a house concert series up in the Minnesota area that so many great artists came through. After years of watching, Jenna decided it was time to pick up a guitar on her own and start writing some songs herself. She reached out to us, so we sat down and talked with her about getting started in the music world, what it takes to kind of build up a repertoire of songs, how to grow and kind of find an audience and just do all the stuff that comes with being a beginning performer. So it's really interesting to sit down and cover this part of starting out with music. We all started out in this place and it's great to hear. Before we get started, we're going to run through a few housekeeping items. The first of which is we have some shows coming up. This week we'll be out doing a So Far Sound show in the First Ward. We'll be playing with very good friends and Show Nuff Band. That'll be pretty cool. We can't tell you the location yet. First Ward, just think about 4510 area. Next Tuesday, we'll be out at Union Tavern as their featured open mic artist. So Kim and I'll be out playing there. Then on the 28th, we'll be up in Spring Branch area of Houston playing at Theater Suburbia. We're really looking forward to that one. We'll be playing with Kat Manning, and then there'll be a small little theater improv group that's going to be super cool, man. We're really looking forward to that. Then we're taking February off because got some various things going on. I'm probably going to have some teeth yanked out of my head and things like that. So we're going to hang low and kick it back up with March with our album release shows, but we're not worried about that right now. Let's move ahead. As always, if you like the show, please tell a friend, share it on social media. Like Jenna, if you want to be a guest on the show, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. And really, I think that's it. Let's get on with the actual interview. It was great to talk to Jenna. We learned a lot. But before we get there, we're going to kick it off with her song, Life Gets Hard. Hope you dig it. See you on the other side.
When it all seems too much and you feel out of touch, I've been there. When you just don't want to think, so you turn to the drink, I've been there. Life can be hard when you're dealt a nasty card, but don't you give in. I'm here to help you, friend. Now I don't claim to know it all, but I've been known to fall or follow a path that led me wrong.
All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Music in the Minor League. We're here today with Miss Jenna Gohman from Minnesota. But where in Minnesota?
Litchfield,
Minnesota. All right. Yep. Today, Kim is out visiting friends in Connecticut, so you get stuck with just the two male parts of the podcast. But that's okay.
Womp, womp, womp.
Oh, it'll be great.
It'll be fine. So, we do know from talking to, we have mutual friends in John and Rebecca Stoll from Grifters and Shills. We do know that you used to run merch for Weber's Deck for all the artists that came through.
Yeah.
And you used to help, you've been involved in music for a while as far as like on the, I guess we would say the sales and assistance end. And then for some reason you decided you were going to start playing music. And it has to be a special person that watches all these other people come through is like, yeah, man, I want to do that, what they're doing. Roll up and just, struggle along. So like we start out a lot of episodes. What got you started in music, man? What brought you here?
Well, I mean, I've always loved music. Even as a young girl, I loved karaoke, and like we would go and find karaoke places. Even as a kid, my dad would take me and we'd go do karaoke at all sorts of different places. I always dreamed of being a famous singer, even as a little girl. So I just kind of always wanted to do it. And then Weber's Deck happened. And I was like, I'm going to do this. This is what I want to do. And people out there are doing it. I'm like, I could write my own songs. I could figure this all out. So then the first show I ever played was in August of 2014, actually. And it was in Annandale at Russell's Bar, which isn't Russell's Bar anymore. And I was not ready to begin, but I had written a few songs and I was excited about it. And we had some friends in town. Brady Pearl was there. A couple of different bands were there playing a show. And it had actually been a deck day where they'd all played Weber's Deck during the day. And then this was at the evening. And I played my songs, but I feel like I've completely revamped my style and my music since then.
Nice. Okay. So there was, I guess, so you played it in 2014, and then did you kind of take a break from it and just kind of focus on, okay. So he was like, I did this show, I'm cool. Now I'm going to go do something else.
Right. Well, I had a son, and then he was 3 at the time. So I was kind of doing the mom thing and had to have a real job and all these things. So,
adulting.
Right. Exactly. My husband and I were working on finding our own place. We were renting from his parents, and we're like, okay, we need to get our own house and get life settled first.
Right.
So
I can relate to that. It's funny because getting around people and you get to actually talk to a lot of the bands. Didn't go to Weber's Deck, but I know I've heard from a lot of people who played there. You basically like a house show kind of thing where you're up close with everybody. Yep. So you got to talk to them. It is pretty funny about how the more you talk to musicians, the more you're like, oh, they're just lame dudes like everybody else.
Right, everybody's
they got a kid at home. When they're not on the road, it's like, gotta go mow my yard, take my kids to school, and do this.
For sure.
I always, what was it? They did that documentary on the Flaming Lips where Wayne Coyne's mom still made him mow her grass. She didn't care that he was a big band. It's like, you're my son, you're gonna mow my grass. It's like he's out there in Oklahoma City, brrr. I'm like, yeah, man. No matter who you are or what level, you still have to do all this everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And for real, to some family members, you're always just going to be that regular person to them. They're never going to think of you as, oh, well, look at you. You're special and fancy and in a band. And you're like, well, you're still you, so you can just do this.
Yeah, family's good at keeping you grounded, man.
Right. You're still doing that?
For sure.
100%,
yes.
man.
Or especially as the kids get older, I guess you're at, your kid's 12 now?
Yeah.
So, that's the whole, you want to go to this thing? Mom's too, oh, again?
Yeah, he gets sick of hearing me play. I have my own studio up in the upstairs of our house, and he's down in the living room below me, and he's like, to him it's just whatever, mom's up there playing her music again, blah. He used to come up and hang out with me last year. He would come up and visit, but now he's just whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah, see, I have a 14-year-old, and he's now he's at the point where he's like, I kind of enjoy this. Can I come to more of your show? So he may come back around. You could
yeah, we can hope.
yeah, dude. Because Trey, he now gets to come to some of our shows and run merch for us, and he's not the greatest at it.
That's fun.
Sam can tell you how lackluster Trey can be.
He's a kid. He's checking his phone out, but it helps. People are like, oh, I'm gonna go look at that little guy right there. I'm gonna go buy something from him.
Right, exactly.
Right. That's great. I'm hope maybe he'll be my merch guy. I mean, we can teach him how to do it. We did it for years.
Right, exactly.
We used to keep Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, like, I used to drag my kids around the country, like we were touring and stuff. Like, I was like, I never got to go anywhere. Like, my mom worked multiple jobs. I was like, y'all, let's go see the country. Y'all can come out here, 15 and 14, like selling merch and hanging out. And so it's a lot of fun. It's something that, you can definitely get everyone involved in. And no matter how cool you think anybody is, all these big artists have their kids out doing stuff with them. And
heck yeah.
Right. Everybody's really just regular. They just happen to have music in them that they want to share. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's cool now too, because like with Trey, like he's in high school, and I'm a high school teacher, and I teach at his high school, and so it's funny because like some of my students will find my music, and they'll be like, "Trey, is this your dad?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's my dad's music." I'm like, that's really good. Why is he a teacher? And he's like, I don't know. He's my dad. That's what he does.
Because where did you listen to this music? Did you listen to it on streaming?
You're right.
That's why you had to teach it.
That's why I'm a teacher. If you guys start buying albums, maybe I could get rid of this.
Right, exactly. If you guys paid to listen to my music.
I'm just saying, guys.
Throwing that out there? No.
Right.
But, maybe it wouldn't be as good if you weren't a teacher. So that's the thing.
It's true. The world can't handle a full-time Helfenstein as a musician. No. I think that's what it is. It's keeping me grounded.
That's the excuse that we'll stick to.
I like that.
That's awesome.
So, all right. So you played the first show, then you took some time off. So when did you return back to playing?
September 22nd of last year, I decided I really wanted to do this. That was my first actual, I do Facebook live streams on my Facebook page once a month now. And that was my first one. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. I love it. I got back into it. I started playing my old blue 3/4 guitar that I got a new guitar now. My husband got me when I was like, all right, I'm going to do this seriously. And it's beautiful. It's a Luna. And I love this guitar. She's so pretty. Anyways, so that was really where it all started. And then people started listening to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people are watching my live stream and listening to my songs. And I started writing again, and just kind of the ball just kept going. And I'm like, man, I really love it. And I just kind of dove in and went for it. So
that's awesome, man. And to come back to it, so almost 10 years after the first time, that's pretty cool. But I think it just goes to show that people that have that creative streak in them, it's always there, whether we're using it to its fullest potential or it's on the back burner, it's always there. And when we reignite it, man, you gotta be prepared, because it could be like a powder keg like you're experiencing now. It's like it just comes.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, I gotta get it all out.
It's crazy. I started writing. I've written probably 15 songs since I started back up a year ago, and I have tons of ideas. I have 4 or 5 notebooks full of song ideas and chord progressions and just all these things that I'm like, you're going to be a song someday.
Nice.
So yeah, I love it.
But I think that also goes to show the importance of holding on to, all of that, all those songs, all those little tidbits, I think a lot of times, especially younger people, they're not used to the holding on to something to make it so that you have it down the road.
Right.
Since so much of their life is split second, I'm on to the next thing. They don't think about, well, maybe it might not work right now, but maybe a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, that's going to turn into something. And I'm hoping that people start cluing into that they need to hold on to those tidbits, because you just never know. I mean, one of the last songs we did on our newest album was a song that Sam and one of our friends, Ben Hall, they had kind of been passing it back and forth through text messages, and we needed a song, and Sam went to it, and it was there, and he put it together, and we had the last song on the album. And it's had he not been basically a pack rat, a hoarder, holding on to everything, it would have been gone. I can't tell you how many times my son, he will clean out all of his text messages, and I'm like, you just got rid of all those text messages. How do you do that?
Yeah.
I think it's me anxiety for you, buddy.
Well, that's the thing with that. I mean, honestly, if Ben hadn't died, I would have gotten rid of I probably would have been yeah, we're never going to do anything with these songs.
Yeah.
We'll write more in the future. Then I was like, okay, no, we have to keep all of this.
Right.
Yep. I'm glad I did, because now I've been really working on my set list lately. I'm trying to get it so that I can play a full gig by myself.
Oh, wow.
Right now, I've got maybe 2-3 hours of material, and that's with cover songs. But I went back and dug through, and I looked at all these old songs, some of my first songs I ever wrote that I haven't even been playing. And I'm like, oh, man, I really missed that. And I played it, and I'm like, that was actually a pretty good song. So I threw those back into my set list, and now it's huge. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I got too much.
but that's a good problem to have, because I think that's the hardest part. And I think that's what a lot of the young musicians, when they first start out, they don't realize filling a 45-minute set feels impossible when you're starting out. And especially if it's a venue that's no, you can't play any cover songs, it has to be all original. That just feels insurmountable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's oh wow, 40. Oh, that's well, and then you start doing the math on it, like, okay, well, 3 songs, this many minutes, and like you're starting,
right.
It's just crazy. So yeah, it's one of those things like that's a huge benchmark to get to. When you can fill out, your 3-hour block of time with just your songs, that gives you a whole plethora of stuff to pull from, and it also allows you to kind of like dictate your set list based on your venue, on your fans, or whoever's there. Because maybe this song's not going to work here, but it's going to work at this other show. At this, it gives you that ability to really tailor it to your audience, which is always a nice thing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. I did a lot of. I've been putting like some '90s countries in there, some Patsy Cline, a little bit of kind of everything, because I looked for things that I could play because I don't know a lot of chords and I'm learning them, but it takes me a while. So I was like, all right, well, let's look for the simple cover songs that I could fit in there. And I added those in there, and there's some people who are like, those are some of their favorite covers I've ever done. And I'm like, well, that's crazy. I just added them in there because I was like, oh, I can play this and I know this song.
Well, the nice part too is when someone hears something familiar like that, they're more likely to pay attention to what you're doing for the next song. And that's when you throw in one of your songs like, oh, that was really cool. So it just opens them up and gets them kind of primed to really like take on what you're putting out there. So it's good.
That's cool. I'll keep that in mind.
That does, yeah. The more you get people to listen, the better. So a good thing to get to now is like, as you're getting back into it, a lot of people, I did see you had brewery gig recently. And, you're doing your online streams. Have you dipped your toe into like booking live shows outside of that, or just more or less trying to see what kind of speed bumps you're running into, just for people listening to go like, oh, that's something that everybody goes through?
Yeah, for sure. I have actually been lucky enough to have a couple of nursing home gigs that I play monthly. I play at 2 different nursing homes, one here in my town and one a town over, just for the residents, just for exposure, practice. Yeah. It's practice for me to be in front of people because I have a big stage thing, like stage fright. That's actually like my warm-up song is my song I wrote that's called Stage Fright. Nice. Just because it helps me loosen up and get through my nerves. But I've been contacting a lot of venues around the area. I've played the brewery. They're going to have me play again soon. She's working on booking stuff now. But yeah, otherwise I've been playing in the summer. I play like the farmers markets, which was John and Rebecca's suggestion. They're like, you should reach out, talk to the farmers market, see if you can get in there. I'm like, all right. So I play there in the summertime.
Yeah, that's a good way to start, just because you're playing long sets and everyone's not staring directly at you the whole time. You kind of work through all the kinks. You start realizing that no matter how much you practice, you will make mistakes. And you're like, okay, yeah, you go from making a mistake and be like, oh God, I should just crawl in a hole, to be like, I can't believe I hit that wrong chord. That's funny. And it's amazing how quick you can slip from like being mortified into like, oh, that's kind of funny that I did that. But anyway, we'll just keep going.
It's just jazz.
Right. There's no wrong chords. It's just, what we did this version.
Exactly. It's a remix.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the B-side version where we threw that extra D in there,
Heck yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's great. That's a good tip.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's the funny part too, is like as like he was alluding to, as you start playing more, it becomes less of that I'm going to stop and start over, and you just got to roll. Like you're just like, whatever. We'll come back around to it later. It's fine.
Right. I'll just find the next one.
Yeah. I'll get it right the second time, I promise.
Like I did music press for years as a photographer. And like I always tell people, I earned very few shows, even on a big level, like stadium level, where it's like, oh, dude, you can tell, you can't really hear it. Most people aren't going to hear it when you make a mistake, but you'll see everyone on stage kind of whip their head around and look at somebody. And you're like, that dude just totally hit a wrong note. Or
right. That's the only way they're going to figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's just like, nobody's above it. I mean, I've been literally like Metallica show recently, like Kirk Hammett, you can kind of hear that he like was half like a fret too low on a couple things. You can see everyone kind of look over like, oh, like, hey buddy. It's like, no, it's cool, man. This is like, we're just putting those incidentals in there,
Right.
This makes it unique.
Well, sometimes it can sound really cool.
Exactly. Like no one said it has to be in key, guys. Like that's just your interpretation of it.
Well, a good thing running merch and stuff and all that, being a part of Weber's Deck, like how you feel like that's prepared you to kind of, you've seen it from both sides. Has it helped you kind of, I guess, walk in with a more realistic point of view of just like, I'm not going to be the next, insert giant artist. It's like, you got to get in there and really put in the real work.
Yeah. Well, and hearing the musicians' stories, like as they came through and played Weber's Deck and told us, their struggles along the road and the stuff they're going through as they're on tour, or even just getting going or dealing with their merch and all the different stuff that they actually went through, the stories they told us was awesome. Or, by the time they got up to Minnesota, they were so strapped for cash that when we handed them that loot from their merch sales, that you could see the look on their face, how grateful they were, because, that was their next gas money to get to the next show, or food, or maybe they could stay at a hotel one night.
Right.
It was really neat to hear their stories, and it taught me a lot.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people forget the fact that, like, if you're a touring musician, guarantees aren't a lot of money. Like, most venues aren't paying you. If you're lucky, you maybe get $100, maybe. You make your money off of your merch sales, and you're depending on that. And so, yeah, like when we did Pawn Stock 2 summers ago in Nebraska, and it was a great experience. But what was even cooler is we didn't have to sell any of our merch. You brought your merch to the merch booth, they took care of it, and at the end of the night, they gave you your money. Like, it was crazy. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, that's so thoughtful, like that. And that's what they did, is they made sure they pushed everyone's merch so that
you bet
you walked out with money so that you could get on to your next show. And that's what we're trying to do. None of us are living high on the hog, so to speak.
Right.
But it is nice to be able to afford, like, a decent hotel, maybe a meal that doesn't involve a gas station roller dog. I don't know.
Right.
Call me a dreamer.
Right. For real. Well, and it was fun to, have the people come up to the merch stand and ask you, well, who do you recommend? Have you heard these bands before? And then we had heard a lot of them before, because they'd either been to Weber's Deck before, or they'd played one of the local bars, and we could recommend, these guys sound like this, or, give people tips and what they were trying to look for. And, at the end of the day, all the merch we tried not to make it a mess. But, when you're rifling through those bins of shirts, trying to find a size.
Oh, yeah, we do the same. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We hold no grudges for that stuff. It's understandable. It's the cost of doing business.
Right. Well, hey, I sold a shirt.
That's worth it in our book. I'll fold them again. I don't mind.
Right. I think every tour ends with you get home. And it's like, all right, we got to reorganize everything because it's all in disarray.
Oh, yeah.
Chaos.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And that's okay. That's part of the fun,
Yeah.
So being up there, we don't, I'll be real, I don't know a lot about Minnesota. So, I know, some basic, government census facts and things like that. But as far as the music scene up there, is there a pretty good flourishing scene up there, or a lot of good musicians, or?
It happens. Like, it's been kind of interesting lately. Just this last show we were at, we have a few different Minnesota bands that are really getting big, like the Delwood Band. If you haven't heard of them, you should check them out. It's there's just two. They're young. It's a guy and a girl, and they're really young, and they're just friends or whatever. I'm not sure if they're a thing. I don't think they are. So don't quote me on that one. I got to see them once, and they played Trucker Fest, and then they played a gig at the Nordic Brew Pub in Monticello, is where we see a lot of music. Anyways, they're really great. They're really great. They have a couple of songs on Spotify. You can find them on YouTube. They're really good. I would definitely look into looking at them. Then there's Dig Deep. They're kind of they're a bigger band, but they're more rock bandish almost. They're pretty peppy. They're fun. They can get people out on the dance floor. They can get people jamming and bouncing all over the place. They're a fun group, and I only got to see them once just recently. They've also played, I think it was Trucker Fest. I don't know. There's like 2 different festivals that my husband works as a sound guy, and so he's done sound for all these bands, and he's like, you got to hear these guys. So yeah, they're definitely 2 local bands that I would recommend checking out.
So one of our last interviews, we interviewed Sean Hess, and he's up in Canada. And so since you guys are up north, us down here in Texas, it gets cold. It's hard to get people to go to shows. Like, if you know what I mean, it's just like, no, we're not going. But up there, it's part of life. Like, you only have like probably so many months that it's really warm. So when it's wintertime, is it the same thing? Kind of like people are looking for shows. They want to go to clubs. They want to go to concerts. Like, that's the thing you do.
Yeah, the weather doesn't matter. Okay. Unless the roads are insane and there's like a blizzard and the roads are glare ice, people go.
Okay, cool.
They'll go. Yeah, for sure.
It's funny because Sean was like, during the summer, it's hard because everybody's like, oh, God, it's not freezing. We're going out to the lake. We're not going to a show or anything.
No. People, In the summer, we like to do a lot of stuff outside because in the winter we're all cooped up.
Right.
We're always indoors. It's freezing. Nobody wants to be outside.
Yeah, like
or
cold
it's
is
snowing, or it's
How cold is it right now in Minnesota, where you're at?
Let me check. I think it's probably about 30 degrees.
Oh my God.
Okay, so it's warm for.
That's
It's not bad. We got a bunch of snow today. We haven't had snow since probably November. We didn't have any snow for Christmas, which is kind of sad up here because snow is just part of Christmas for us. So
right, if I'm going to suffer through cold weather, I want to at least have a white Christmas.
Exactly. It is currently 26 degrees.
Oh my God, that's cold.
It would be
sweatshirt weather.
It would be panic mode here. Kid Urquhart would stand.
Dude, our high today was 76 degrees.
Yeah, but then our low was going to end up being like 30, like 38 or something. It's like we had this weird day where it stormed with high wind all morning. As like it got to 70, it's been like 30s at night, 40s. And then as soon as that moved past, it turned around and went right back about 6 o'clock.
Oh my God.
With heavy storms, with the cold front pushing all of that back offshore. And now it's supposed to get down to possibly freezing in the morning.
Yeah, good times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, see that, and so that's why in Texas, like especially in our area, like if it's questionable weather, no one's coming to your show. Like,
if a drop of water from the sky falls.
Oh my God, dude, we were playing a show
crazy.
this past summer, and it was at a great venue that we play all the time, Shoeshine Charlie's. It's a wonderful little place, and we were so stoked about the show. We had some friends come in and play their first show there. It was like awesome, and probably 45 minutes before doors. So around the time people would have been leaving to come to the venue, a storm goes through.
Like sideways rain.
And it was like...
And people are like, nope.
Yeah. And like 10 people showed up, I think.
Yeah, and like a venue in the Heights actually had all their electricity knocked out. Remember that show got canceled?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things like, at least up there, people are like, oh, it's snowing. I'm still going to a show.
Whatever.
I'll get on the snow machine and get there. I don't care.
For real. Get on your snowmobile and just go.
See, that's awesome.
So fun fact, my husband and I actually, when we first met, we came down to Texas and lived in Galveston for 6 months.
Dude,
we got married in Galveston.
No way.
Out of Justice of the Peace. Yeah, for real.
That's so cool.
Yep.
Heck
we
yeah.
loved it there.
See,
we lived on Crystal Beach, like on the beach in the car for the majority of the time we lived down there.
See, it's my hometown. That's where I grew up. The Crystal Beach, yeah.
Yes.
That's so cool.
And if you get bored and you want to remember what Crystal Beach is like, listen to our song Crystal Beach. It describes it quite well.
I love that song, you guys. It was awesome. I saw the title. I was like, oh, I'm going to love this. I loved it. I knew everything you were talking about. I'm like, yes, that is it. I love it.
Someone gets us. Thank you.
That's funny because it's like, yeah, tell us how great the song was, please.
We did not.
We miss it. We miss it so much.
That was totally unsolicited, guys.
Yeah, man, that's like where I lived there until the day I graduated, and then I ran like hell in Houston.
Yeah, man. Like, no, it's funny because, growing up on the Gulf Coast like we do, like, we're so jaded when it comes to like Galveston and the beach. Like, I'm going to the beach or whatever. But then like people from up north are like, dude, you live by the water? And I'm like, yeah,
I'm so jelly.
See? Like, I guarantee if you lived here long enough, you'd be like, it's just the beach. It's right there.
Oh, we loved taking the ferry from Galveston over to Bolivar. Oh, that was one of our favorite things.
Nice.
Yeah.
We love doing that.
And it's free. Thank you.
I know. Free transportation. You just park on there and away you go.
Heck yeah.
It's great.
Except during the summer.
Yeah.
You have a 3-hour wait. That's your payment.
It was so busy. And when we were there, it was summertime. So we're like waiting for the ferry to go home, so we can go live on the beach.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's like you're better off just driving around doing the 3.5-hour drive.
Right, for real. Because oh my gosh, we were down there. What was probably around the 4th of July or something. There was a holiday. It had to be 4th of July. Oh my gosh. It was like 4 hours we sat in that line. But we didn't care. We had nothing to do.
Right.
We were just like on permanent vacation for 6 months.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
It was like some of the best memories we ever made. It was just me and my husband, and we just had like the greatest time living on the beach. Like, who does that ever in your life, right?
Heck yeah, dude. See, See, all those people out there who are like, "No, Galveston sucks." See, it doesn't suck so bad.
Oh, it's great. And you have to go to the spot.
Yep.
You have to.
Oh, yeah.
We missed the spot so bad. That was our favorite place. We'd go there all the time. The Frickles.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
See now I got so our buddy Dan, he like went to high school with the guy who owns the spot. He's like a friend of ours. So I'm gonna hit him up and be like, you need to sponsor our podcast. You're getting shout outs from all the way in Minnesota, bro.
No kid.
For real. Yes. We still love the spot. And next time we come down there, we're going to eat there again.
Heck yeah, dude. They've now expanded. They have 2 of them now. There's one actually on the mainland by where we live in Clear Lake. Yeah.
That's right. I saw that on their Facebook.
They're big time.
That's
now.
so cool.
I know. And the food's good. I'm sorry. Like,
oh, it's so good.
It's actually
so good.
It's one of those places like I hate telling people about it because then it gets really packed. But it's actually really
I know,
good.
and it was always so busy.
Yeah.
Always busy. We would go there on in the middle of the week, like a Wednesday night. And it was still busy. We're like, okay, this is ridiculous.
That's where the locals go.
We're trying not to hit the rush. It's 8:00 at night. What are you guys doing? It's Wednesday.
Doing something right.
Coming out.
Nobody work.
It's Galveston. We're here to party.
For real. Oh, it's one of the coolest places. I recommend everybody visits there because I have so many great memories there. I loved everything about it. We were there before the Pleasure Pier even existed.
Oh man, that changed everything.
Back when the flagship was still there.
The flagship. My parents.
You bet. Yep.
When my parents got married, that's where they had their honeymoon night at. Was the flagship. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't want to know what happened there. That's not my business. I like to pretend they just read their Bible and went to bed early.
Probably. That's exactly what
I'm going to tell my kids.
That's hilarious. Our honeymoon we spent with my mother-in-law doing puzzles.
What?
Because she was the only one that flew down there when we got married.
Oh, okay.
So she was there with us, and we're like, well, we just wanted to spend time with her. We hadn't seen family in 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So we sat around and made puzzles together.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
It was great.
See? Puzzles are awesome. I like puzzles.
I do too.
Sam, are you a fan of puzzles?
I am. My mind's blown of all the people I'd expect to be like, dude, lived in Galveston.
I know.
Not from Minnesota. That's not normal.
Yeah, because even when we did the video thing with John and them, he had never really been down there before. And it was like, oh, dude, I can't believe I'm getting the tour of the beach from the guy who lived there. I was like, yeah, it's not that amazing, but.
Well, and that's
you want to know why we ended up in Galveston?
Yes.
Okay, so I had told my husband, Dan, I said, I've never seen the ocean, and that's where I want to go. And so we drove until we hit the ocean, and it happened to be Galveston.
Really? You just went south?
We just went south.
It is. It's like 45 is due south from Minneapolis. I know that we've been looking.
Straight all the way.
Wow. Yeah. Dude, that's pretty cool.
That's how we ended up there, and we loved it. We're like, oh, this place is amazing.
See, I'm telling you, man. Galveston County Chamber of Commerce needs to hit us up.
Right, here we go. You're welcome.
Yeah, right. There's going to be influx of people from Minnesota that come to live in Galveston.
Right.
There it is. There should be some. So there, everyone's like, why is this lady from Minnesota writing this song about the ocean and the beach? It's like, well,
she went to Galveston.
She's lived there for a while. She was there.
Yep. I have actually written part of a song about it. But then I was like, oh, there's already songs about Galveston out there. Should I even write one? But I'm just going to do it. I'll get it written and I'll let you guys know.
Dude, totally. You should totally do it. Come on now.
Right? From an experience from Minnesota to Galveston. So.
I mean, just the idea of getting in the car and driving south until you hit the water is a pretty good start for a song.
No kidding.
Took us 24 hours.
Oh, man. Did you drive straight or did y'all stop?
When we came down the first time, we did a lot of stops. We stopped in Missouri. We stopped and saw several different places. Okay. I hadn't really been anywhere besides Minnesota, South Dakota.
Okay.
So we were kind of exploring. We hit Missouri. We hit Oklahoma. That was the first time I'd ever seen a drive-through liquor store.
Oh, that's a great, isn't that cool?
That was hilarious. I'm like, what is that? I have so many pictures of that place because I'm like, this is not a real thing.
Right. I'm going to get arrested.
Well, we obviously had to do it. Right. It was real.
Right. This isn't a clever sting operation, is it? Because I feel like you have to tell me if you're a cop, right?
Right. Isn't that a legal thing? Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Well, that's why I love Louisiana and stuff. It's like, well, put a piece of Scotch tape over the straw in your drive-through daiquiri. You're not going to drink that. It's sealed until you get home.
That's a safety
perfect.
seal. That's childproof.
Thanks.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
Safety first.
Don't drink and drive, kids.
Yeah. Let's just make sure that's clear.
Right, exactly.
First time I ever saw a palm tree was in Galveston.
And palm trees aren't even native to Galveston. That's the funniest part. They're all
Yeah, but everyone bought them and planted them, and they thrived.
They're thriving.
Except when it gets cold, and then they all die.
Where are palm trees? Like,
Native?
Native, yeah. So I want to say all the ones in like Los Angeles they brought in.
Right.
I mean,
Probably.
Florida?
Did they just become a horticultural?
Florida, Hawaii. Like, where would
Yeah.
where would they actually be from?
Probably Hawaii. It probably came over with like the steel guitar. They were like, "Do we want the trees and we want that guitar? Bring it."
There you go. There you
They all
go.
ended up in outside of Bakersfield. And they ended up putting up palm trees. The palm trees stayed in Los Angeles. The steel guitar went to Bakersfield.
Yeah, it works. It happens.
Perfect.
It tracks. That's fine.
That's it.
That's awesome.
Official folklore now.
Right. If we had enough people to believe it, it becomes the truth. Duh.
Oh my gosh. Is that how that works?
That's how that works.
That's how a lot of things work. Yeah.
Yeah, we figured that out.
Oh my gosh.
It's all right. Everyone's on board. Go. What are your plans? Do you have anything coming up that you're working on? Are you planning on trying to record anything like professionally or?
I am working on figuring out how to record my first album. I have John and Rebecca helping me with everything. I literally have sent her all my tracks that I want to put on this new album. And she's going to try and figure out like the mastering and all that stuff. Cause I'm like, I know nothing. Right. I know how to make music. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about making an album. So she's been kind of really just guiding me step by step. Okay, so you need to record the vocals, you need to record the guitar, any other instruments you want, and then send me all the tracks and I'll work on it from there. I'm like, okay. Nice. So that's what I've been doing.
Oh yeah.
But, just trying to figure out what songs I even wanted to put on my first album was... Oh, that was a struggle. I'm like, oh man. I mean, I went through all these songs that I love and I feel like they're ready. And I have enough for 2 albums.
Yep. That's how it goes.
I was like,
that's good though.
That's so crazy.
That's a good problem to have though.
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, because then once the first one's done, she said you start working on that second one before that first one's ready because, then you can... It's a long process, I guess.
Yeah. It is. It really is. And especially when we're fortunate at this point, this level in the game, whatever you want to call it, we don't have a label saying, hey, it's been 6 months. You need to have a new single. We can do things organically and take our time. And I think that allows us to be a little pickier about what we put out. Like you said, you have 2 albums worth of music. And hopefully all those songs make it eventually onto some form of recording. And if not, it is part of the job. But it's okay because it's still that process. It's still that creative endeavor. It's still, you're growing as an artist, But again, it's one of those things too, is like a song that you first wrote, you might be done with it now, but then you come back to it a year later, and you're like, I think I want to change this and do this. And then you've, made it a whole new song. And so I think it's really good advice. It's kind of constantly be pushing yourself forward. And I heard, it was really funny. I was listening to my Sirius radio the other day, and Gavin Rossdale of Bush was on, and I had an interview with him, and he was talking about he got better at writing when he started doing what actual writers do, like authors do. And he's like, every day it's like I clock in and I work for 8 hours, whatever. And he goes, even if I don't walk away with something that I can use, it's just constantly being in that creative mindset. He goes, because that's what you lose. He goes, because when you're touring and all that stuff, you're not taking the time to work on that craft. Because you're playing every night. And he said, and so that was the hardest part for him, is like when you get off the road and now it's time to start working on that next cycle for the new album, it's like, where do I start? And so that's why he makes sure that each day he just does a little bit so that he constantly has that part of his brain engaged. And I was like, that's pretty cool information.
That's a great idea.
We think that, I want to be a musician because I don't want to grow up and I don't want to have responsibility. Well, but it's still a job. It's still, yes, it's fun to do, but if you want to do it and be successful at it, you have to kind of treat it a little more maturely than just a hobby.
Yeah.
So, it's work you love over work that, you're getting paid for.
True.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's good when it does pay, but most time it's like, I always say, like, I would be doing this regardless.
Yeah.
Like, I'd at least be writing songs and playing guitar and jamming with buddies and doing stuff like that. It's not a, well, unless I get paid this much, I ain't going to pick up my guitar. And it's like,
right.
Right. If I
Yep. And that's just it. I mean, I play the farmers markets. I play for free.
Yeah.
I do it because I want to play. I want to play my music. I want to share my songs with people. You know, I love it. I love doing it. I don't care if I'm getting paid for it right now because you know what? I have another job. I have a job for a reason. You know, like this isn't my full time thing. Well, not yet.
And with like especially like things like the farmers market, it's a low kind of pressure scenario because you're not the full entertainment. You're a fancy jukebox, if you will. You know,
right? For real.
So you can really hone your craft of how do I want to perform these songs? How do I want to set up my set list, whatever it is. You have that time to experiment with it, and that's worth its weight in gold because it's making you a better performer. So yeah, I think a lot of new performers need to understand that too. Is like just because it's not compensation monetarily, you can still get something from it. You know,
you bet.
No one's saying you should drive 3 hours to go play a free show. I'm not saying that.
No,
but
I mean that's up to you, I guess.
But but if your local farmers market's looking for someone to come play some songs and you've got some time, hey,
What?
And plus, it's not like a bar or anything. A farmer's market, basically, you're showing up. You know, you're usually paying money to be able to sell vegetables and stuff there. If you're playing, you're kind of selling your music. People want to throw a few bucks in.
Right.
You know, it's kind of the same thing. It's not like, oh, here's an owner making like $1,000 off of beer sales and enjoy your exposure there, friend.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, this is very much like a community endeavor. And it is a great place to just go in and woodshed everything and just let it go, man.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just so relaxed and you're just kind of just doing whatever you do. Like people are listening to you, but they're also having their conversations and buying their vegetables. And they're not everybody's sitting there listening to you.
Right.
It's fun.
Right. It's not like you're having to entertain them because they're a captive audience. Like they're still living their lives. You're just the soundtrack in the background and there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's so low pressure. It was a great way for me to learn to be in front of people because I had that fear of being in front of people. I was terrified. So that was so low pressure. I was like, oh, look, nobody's even looking at me.
Right.
I'm fine.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like that's something a lot of new musicians need to understand is like you need to seek out those types of scenarios because that's going to make you a better performer. And also, not everything you do is going to work out. So I'd rather screw up there and realize that's not my song. That song's out of my key. I can't do that song. Or, you know what I mean? Rather than be at a show where people have paid at a bar or whatever, and now they're like, wow, this really sucks. You know?
Right, because you can kill 10 songs, that one where you blew it, they're like, oh, they blew it.
Right, exactly.
Right. And then that's the one they remember.
Exactly. It's like, it was like when I was in band in high school, yes, I'm a band nerd.
That's okay, my son is too.
Okay, cool. So we're amongst friends. Our band director, we were getting ready to do a competition, and his whole thing was like, remember how you end your songs? Like, think about that last note. And I was like, that's really stupid. Like, I remember thinking that in my head. And he's like, no. Think about this. You're at this really fancy restaurant. You paid a lot of money for that steak. And this has been the best steak you've ever had in your life. And it's amazing. Melts in your mouth. And you go to take that last bite and you bite into it and there's a roach. What part of that meal do you remember? I was like, oh my God, the roach.
Last, and of course. Yeah.
He goes, exactly. Sure. He goes, so always make sure you think about that, how you end things, how you do things, because the people are going to remember that last note. So I try to end on the right note. Sam doesn't always, but I try to.
You know, man, it's as the songwriter and band leader, I'm never wrong.
True.
Just they didn't really pick up on the cues I gave them. They were going to improv a bit here.
Is that what happened?
That's the skew. Yeah, that's the bullshit line you give them.
We're going to stretch this one out to a different key.
God, I thought I was obvious in my head, way I nodded my head of where we were taking this.
Right, but I don't look up when I play, so that's a problem.
Right. Oh, man.
You didn't see the visual cue.
Right.
But that's the thing about it. You always got to have your first gigs. You got to have your first recordings. Everything that you look back on and go like, oh my God, I could do that so much better now. You know, without having that first step, you're never going to go anywhere else. I mean, even with us, man, after playing for years, like our first Brightwire recording to the newest one, it's like leaps and bounds. Like it's
yeah. I mean, and I think that's the fun of it too. Is you're gonna hear this first record after you get it done 10 years from now, and you're gonna be like, oh crap, that's what I sounded like.
I put that out.
But then
I hope people aren't still listening to that.
No, it's true. Yeah,
right. Why is this my most streamed song? But it's really cool to have that snippet of time forever. That you can always go back and say that was me. That was a moment that had there was a reason for that. And I think that's always cool that we as artists, as creative people, we get to have that. Not everyone has that. I think about people that have experience, like have lives where they don't create. Like, could you imagine just being someone who goes to a cubicle every day and never?
I wouldn't be able to live like that.
No, and it's like what is your mark gonna be when you're gone? Like, I like the fact that my kids, when I'm way gone, I'm worm food. They can be like, hey, there's my dad's video from when he was in Brightwire. And it's like that, and so there's that moment, and so I feel like we're fortunate that we are creative enough to do that, but we're also ballsy enough to do it, because I think that's the scary part for a lot of people. Just that first step. Like, what if I don't sound good? Okay, what if you do sound good? You'll never know if you don't try.
Exactly. Yep. And I had a huge stage fright thing. Like, I was terrified to sing in front of people for so long, and then I wanted to do it so bad, but I was like, well, I'm not going to get anywhere if I don't at least try it.
Exactly.
You have to try it.
And to me, it's the human experience is far from perfect. Like, I always beat them over the head, my kids and stuff too. Like, I'm a huge baseball fan, so I'm always like, it's like baseball, man. You get it right 30% of the time, like, you're a legend.
Right, you're Hall of Fame.
And I'm like, so really, dude, when you're playing a show, there's so many times too where you'll think about, like, dude, like, I'm doing it. Like, we have not made a mistake at all. There's literally like 4 bars left in the set.
Damn.
And that's when the last note, it's like, end on D. And it's like, why the hell did my hand go to like A minor there? That was weird. It's like,
what am I doing?
It's like gave up a home run on the last pitch of the game. I was like, damn it.
I had a no-hitter.
I normally look at him. It's like, I thought about it. That was what happened. I thought about the fact that we had a perfect set, and then I blew it.
100%.
You talked about the streak. That's what happens.
I know. So it happens. And, it's the thing. You got to realize that nobody's above it, and there's going to be mistakes. It's part of the charm.
Yeah.
People don't love other people because of how perfect they are. It's those little weird things that make you yourself.
Right. It makes people real. Like,
all your idiosyncrasies. So it's like, it's a little weird music thing. It's perfect.
Well, yeah, like people don't remember like the Monterey Pop Festival show because of Jimi Hendrix playing so great. They remember it because he set his guitar on fire. Like, it had nothing to do with the show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, come on. That's part of that. That it's a human experience, man.
Yeah, and like even go back to Hendrix, the Woodstock. Everyone talks about he played the guitar with his teeth.
Yeah.
Played the Star Spangled Banner and made like boom sounds.
You're right, he did. Yeah.
No matter, even if he is like the greatest guitarist ever, it's still like, it's the little weird things you do where it's like, oh man, that's something I've never seen, and the weird thing sticks out. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then that's like what you remember.
Right.
Yeah.
That becomes your shtick at that point.
And then you're like, that's not what I don't want that to be my shtick.
Right. Great.
Well, and that's the thing you worry about, right? You're like, oh man.
Right. It's like the band Cake, the song The Distance. Like, the singer refuses to perform that song. And it's like, well, you put the song out, bro.
Right. Like, I bought tickets to see that song.
Like, they flat out refuse to play that song. And I'm like, I
bet there were a lot of disappointed people.
I would be really pissed off if I went to a show and they did not play The Distance.
Right. That's the kind of thing that there's a lot of songwriters talk about, that when you finish a song, you have to always accept that you may have to play that for the rest of your life.
Right. It could be your wagon wheel, and that's okay.
Oh my gosh, I learned how to play that. And then I was like, I'm never going to play this at a bar gig, because I'm one of those people who's like, really? They're playing wagon wheel?
Exactly.
Because everybody knows how to play it, right? Like, it's kind of almost just a rite of passage to at least learn how to play it.
Right. Just so you have it, so you know that you know how to play it. Like, you've experienced it.
Exactly.
Right. But there's no reason to play it live. No,
it's not even on my set list.
Yeah, I mean,
we played in Austin one night at Momo's years ago, and we were the only band of 4 bands that did not play that song.
That's a high mark. I would consider that a win in my book.
75%.
I bet everybody loved you because you didn't play that song.
They were like, oh, thank
they're
God.
my favorite.
Those guys kick ass.
Maybe.
Right.
Dude. But again, if I go to Cake and I don't hear Reluctantly Crouched at the Starting Line, I'm going to be pissed.
Well, same thing with Flock of Seagulls used to refuse to do Iran.
Dude, that's a great song.
And it's like, what? Or we remember seeing Counting Crows. They did like Mr.
Jones?
Mr. Jones. They did like this weird, like loungy version of it.
I'm okay with that as long as I get to hear it.
It's kind of like, thanks, bro.
Dude, Adam is a great singer, though, so I'm okay with that.
I don't care. If any of our songs become like anthems, guarantee listeners, we will perform it as you know it every night.
Right. If our listeners get Crystal Beach to over 1 million streams, we will play the exact same way every time.
Every time. Exactly how it's recorded. You tell us.
Right. Which
That's
version?
a challenge.
Which version do you want?
1 million listens and it'll be played verbatim every night.
Like our Spotify payout
That's
from that.
just like I know it in my heart. It's like, yes, million listeners.
I'll even learn the solos correctly finally.
Oh my god! Well, now you guys are you're getting to the point where you're going to have to fess up on all your promises eventually because you're like, all right, I'm going to play it exactly how.
Right.
Now you're going to have to do that.
It'll happen.
I'll do it.
I promise.
That millionth listener hits, we're doing
We're
it.
doing it.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
We'll even bring out our opener, Miss Taylor Swift, to help us on that when we get to that millionth listener.
Perfect.
Will she bring out Mr. Travis Swift with her?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
This is his first year not to break 1,000 yards receiving.
Dude, they'd shut him down for the year.
Whatever. He should have done it in 16 games like a real player.
I'm true.
But now he's too busy running around, like a deadhead, but out following around.
There are worse things he could be doing, honestly speaking. I mean, he's living his best life. I get the juvenile humor. I get it. I was trying to be the mature one and just speed past it.
Yeah.
Well,
How quickly it devolved.
No, I'm not.
way to be the mature one.
Right. This is what happens when Kim leaves us for 2 weeks.
What are you talking about? Kim would have been doing the butthead laugh when you said that. She'd been like,
She would have been. She's worse than us.
She really is. She's just quieter and nicer about it. So
True.
everyone's like Kim does it, and you see her over there, and she's just silently, like, tears falling down her face, like, laughing. It's like,
Dying inside.
Yes.
she's just not tacky
She's more mature, like, on the outside.
on the outside.
On the inside, she's like a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah, but she is also our elder by quite a few years, so.
You said that, not me. I didn't say that.
Oh, she might beat you up for that.
True that.
Oh, Nana can't do that.
She does have really soft kitten hands. It's like getting punched by a kitty. Like, why are you hitting me in the face with pillows, Kim?
I hope one day you'll get to meet her.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we have one question left for you, and that will be, you kind of already touched on it, but we started our question that we ask everybody every episode, and Mr. Michael Helfenstein.
All right, so final question. All right, I want to give me 3 to 5 local level bands that you feel like in your area that you really think need to be shouted out. Give us, your top 3 to 5 that you really want.
Oh man, they have to be from my area.
They're just bands that you really like, that you think that need more exposure and you'd like to.
Okay, that I can do.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. Well, I'll start with local. The Delwood Band.
Okay.
For sure. Everybody should look them up. They're on Spotify. You can find them on YouTube. They're really good. I'm surprised they haven't blown up yet.
Okay.
Dig Deep, for sure. They're a totally different type of music from Delwood Band, but I really think they're going to get somewhere. And then the last 3 are kind of bigger bands, but they are my all-time favorites.
That's
so obviously Grifters and Shills.
Duh.
I love them, and I want everybody to listen to their stuff.
They're getting there, man. They're really getting better as time goes on. Eventually, John will really learn how to play guitar.
I really wish he would. Like, it looks like he's struggling a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly.
To get that 10,000th note in every song.
Oh my gosh. The Harm Brothers
Okay.
have been one of my favorite bands since the Weber's Deck days. So they played the deck. Grifters and Shills played the deck. And then The Last Revel is also one of my all-time favorite bands. I just got to go to one of their concerts, and it was just as awesome as I had hoped it would be.
Nice.
I'm a giant fan of all these bands and so many more. But they're really good bands. I recommend all 5 of them at least. And there's obviously thousands more that I could recommend. My Spotify list goes on and on and on. And I actually have a section that's called like the Weber's Deck bands that like I've seen at Weber's Deck. And I have all their music in there. I mean, Charlie Parr is in there. The Harm Brothers, Grifters and Shills. I mean, back when they were the Bitter Root Band.
Oh, wow.
Last Revel is in there. They were the Bitter Root Band at one point.
Okay.
I mean, I just have so much. The Hoot and Hollers. The Hoot and Hollers have been there.
Love them.
There's just so many great bands out there. It's hard to just list a few.
I feel you.
No, but that's great because, like I said, people hear names like Charlie Parr and Hoot and Hollers that, a couple episodes Lane Holmes was going off about. So,
yeah,
when you start hearing more people say those names, it's like, okay, maybe I will check that band out.
Heck yeah.
They should for sure. And Elaine, I love Elaine. I miss my Holmes girls. I actually wrote a song about them.
All right.
Oh, awesome.
It's called A Songwriter's Biggest Fans, and it's literally about Elaine and Jeannie.
Oh, sweet.
And that's a good description of them too.
Yeah.
For real. They follow people all over. And they just support everybody. It's so crazy.
Exactly. And if they're a fan of your band, you're doing something right. Like if those two like bring you in, like you're doing something right. Like that is like a high compliment, I think.
Mm-hmm, for sure, because it's not like they've listened to millions of bands. Yes. They've been all over the place. They know good sound when they hear it.
Exactly. Yeah. So
for sure.
See, look at us. We're making this giant quilt of friends all over the place here. Sam.
I know, it's good.
Dang it.
Well, Jenna, thanks for taking the time to talk to us tonight.
This is a blast.
Yeah, no problem. It was a great time.
All right. Well, once the records get done and things start going again, we'll do like Where Are They Now episode.
Heck yeah.
Right. I have music on YouTube and Bandcamp for now. So.
All right. There'll be a few previewed on this episode. So
Heck yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Music in the Minor League. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Jenna and look forward to seeing how her road to becoming an independent singer-songwriter goes. When we started this podcast, our goal was to cover every part of becoming an independent musician and all the people that make independent music happen, be it songwriters, performers, venue owners, scene legends, things of that nature, people who just put it together, people who put on house shows. Like, there's a lot of moving parts in the independent music world, and we figured that'd be a good place to go. So it really was cool to sit down and talk to Jenna and hear all the things that she's going through while she's trying to get her foot in the door and get it kicked off being a singer-songwriter. We hope y'all dug it. Remember, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, hit us up. You can DM us, hit us up on Instagram or Facebook. We'd love to talk to you and have you be a guest. If you like the podcast but don't want to be on the show, make sure to share wherever you can and let's help get the word out. It's really the best thing for us. We do this for free, so every little bit helps. We'll be back next week with Rock Bottom String Band. We're really stoked for that interview. It came out so great. Now we're going to leave you with one of Jenna's songs. Seemed like the perfect one to go out on. This one is called Night Out. We hope you dig it, and we hope to talk to y'all soon, man. See ya.
Time to get ready, the weekend is here. Headed to the party, our friends are here. Playing some music, everybody get down. It's time for a night out on the town. Dancing by the stage, singing along, moving and grooving to every song. Come on girls, let's dance around. It's time for a night out on the town. Slip into your tight-fitting jeans, ready to meet your friends on the scene. Playing some music, everybody get down. It's time for a night out on the town. Dancing by the stage, singing along, moving and grooving to every song. Come on girls, let's dance around. It's time for a night out on the town. Looking for a good time, don't have to go far. There's a band playing at the local bar. Nobody's gonna wonder where you are. Oh, it's time for a night out on the town. Dancing by the stage, singing along, moving and grooving to every song. Come on girls, let's dance around. It's time for a night out on the town. Yeah, it's time for a night